The educational plan is part of the MSBA's process when you get into a partnership with them. So essentially, they ask the partner district to develop an educational plan. And the purpose for that is that they want the school system to dictate really to the architects and the designers how the the school should be or what the educational needs are for that community. So we start by writing an ed plan. The way that we worked in Lexington is we had a draft. It ended up being around 150 pages, and the educational plan was developed in partnership with members of the school community, the high school. Every teacher in every department had a say in sort of what went into the ed plan. And we create this document, and the document then is given to the architects and designers. They work with us to refine the educational plan. From that educational plan, which essentially maps out what the school could be, they develop a program adjacencies diagram, which shows spatial relationships between departments and disciplines. And we're thinking a lot about interdisciplinary connections in the new school. And we also go through a process where they identify every space, every bit of square footage that exists in the building now, and what the demands are on that space and what additional space is needed. Um, and we do this in the context of guidelines from the MSBA. So it's not as if we can take an educational plan and put in anything that we want to in it, and that's what gets designed. It doesn't work that way. The MSBA has guidelines on square footage, and they set parameters so you can't exceed guidelines without fully funding, or the town fully funding a particular addition. So, for example, in our educational plan, the guideline for classroom space is no bigger than 950 square feet. Currently at the high school, our square footage is about 700 um, for a classroom size of about 25 students. So it's very small, very tiny. In our educational plan, we could have um, gone up to 950 square feet per classroom. We didn't. We went to 850 square feet. So this is an example of how we've taken some conservative measures to keep the project in line. The other thing that I would say about the educational plan is that it doesn't account for kind of the wish list of items. Some people assume that this is all about the wants and the desires of the school system rather than the needs. And I would say that it's very needs based. There are limitations on how big a gymnasium can be, how large the large core spaces like a cafeteria or the Performing Arts Center, for example, can be. Anything that goes beyond what the square footage guidelines are has to be contemplated in the context of the school building committee. We have to have a conversation and have had conversations, for example, about special education. We needed more square footage in that area because our program is so big. In some areas, performing arts is, major in the Lexington community. We had to look and see what could we do that is slightly above in order to meet the needs and demands. And actually, by slightly above, it's exactly as we have currently, so it's not even above in terms of some standards.